Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Finish the Fight podcast. My name is Andrew. I'm going to be the host. This podcast is going to be mainly focusing on the Dallas Cowboys, of course. I'm a huge Cowboy supporter, advocate for this team no matter what happens, all the good, all the bad. There's been a lot of bad recently, as I'm sure all you other Cowboy fans know. Not much to be happy about this year, but there's always positives. What I'm really trying to get out of this podcast is just, give my personal opinion on a lot of things. I love the Dallas Cowboys. I want to do something with football in the future in my life, so I kind of figured this is a good start, even if I got to start off by talking to, nobody, the void of emptiness for these first few episodes until I could kind of get a fan base going and see, where I could go from there, just because this is something I take very, very personally. It's just I've always grown up loving the game of football and watching the Cowboys every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, yesterday. You could catch me sitting on the couch watching the Cowboys win, lose, or tie. Cowboy fan till I die. I'm sure y'all know how that goes. As you know, this podcast will be focused around the Cowboys, but we will talk on other sports. I'm a basketball fan, baseball. Usually not soccer. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a big fan of soccer, golf, or anything like that. But, I'm sure we'll touch on it here and there, just depending on what's going on in the sports world. And to finish the fight, I'm sure if any of you are Cowboy fans, y'all know that comes from Jason Garrett back in our 2017-18 season. That was his motto to the team. That's what they plastered on all the T-shirts, all the videos that they posted, Instagram, everything like that. That was their motto, was finish the fight. And I just feel like that's such a good motto. Jason Garrett may have not been my favorite head coach, but I did like the drive he brought out of the players. I felt like he did bring a certain atmosphere to the football team that Mike McCarthy just hasn't done. I haven't seen that same passion in a lot of these players like when Garrett was here. It is a COVID year. Things are weird. We didn't have a full off season. So, I'm sure that plays a huge part into it. And then just getting our ass kicked every game kind of also takes away from your confidence and stuff like that. So with today's first episode podcast, I wanted to hit over a few different things. First, just give myself an introduction, a little bit about myself. I think I kind of did the majority of that. Two, I want to talk about yesterday's game. As you know, yesterday we played Baltimore. We lost 17-34. Wasn't a very good game. I'll get into that, as this goes on a little bit more. We'll touch base here, there, see what it is that I think went wrong. Honestly, a lot went wrong, but, we'll touch on there. And then last, I kind of want to finish off today's episode and just seeing where, as you fans, think we should go from here. Because right now we're sitting at 3-9, bottom, dead last of the NFC East at that number 4 pick. So I'm kind of just curious to see where other Cowboy fans' minds are on what they think we should do with this number 4 pick. Because I hope we won't have another top 5 round pick within the next few years. I'm hoping we could be some contenders, especially coming into this year. I felt like we had a really good chance, but injuries and, a whole bunch of other things have kind of set us back. So that's kind of just the overview for today's podcast. Like I said, it's called the Finish the Fight podcast, and let's get into things. All right, well, let's get into the game last night. In advance, I kind of want to apologize. My voice sounds nasally. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. I just want to tap on a few big key points in yesterday's game. For starters, we got absolutely gashed by Baltimore's run game. I figured, I'm sure that was their game plan coming into the game, besides using Dez. But unfortunately, Dez did not get to be used last night. I'm sure, as a lot of you know, it was his reunion game here in Baltimore, but against Dallas, his former team. I love Dez. I hope nothing but the best for Dez and hope he gets better from COVID soon. But he was out there warming up a few minutes before the game, which is kind of ridiculous. They have videos and pictures of him hugging all the Baltimore players, a lot of Cowboys players before the game, just for him to get tested and say he's positive and that he didn't come into contact with anybody else is kind of ridiculous. We all know it. The game last night probably shouldn't have been played just for the corona reasons. If we're going to be talking about player safety, it doesn't matter to me. I feel like this was a game we were destined to lose anyways. Baltimore just is the superior team, in my opinion. Their defense is really good, really big. They got a great secondary, a great D-line up front. They're just pretty solid all around. And their offense, they have their NFL reigning MVP in Lamar Jackson. And he showed us last night why he was reigning MVP, that's for sure. Andy Dalton didn't have himself a bad game. He was 31 for 48, 285 passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and that 1 interception was a tip pass. So I'm not going to fault him for that interception. I feel like he played well. Zeke had one of his better games with 18 attempts, 77 yards, averaging about 4.3 yards per attempt. Going into the game, I know Troy Aikman especially was talking how the Cowboys needed to have a very run-heavy offense if we wanted to win this game. And I felt like we started off the game that way with a lot of big, good, heavy runs by Zeke and Pollard, alternating them out. But we slowly faded away from that, obviously, with us losing the lead and then not being able to capitalize on some of the plays we made, like missing 3 field goals. That was definitely a shot in the foot to our Cowboys offense there. And Greg Zuerlein actually tied his career most with most field goals missed in a game with 3 last night. And they weren't pretty. They were all pretty obvious misses. So I don't know. Maybe the win was bad last night, but I'm not 100% sure what went through Greg Zuerlein's mind last night. But I think the main focus of yesterday's game was just how atrocious our run defense was. We got gashed for 294 total rushing yards. I think 101 by Gus Edwards, about 94 by Lamar, and J.K. Dobbins had around 50, and Mark Ingram as well had some yards in there. So they had a really well-balanced rushing attack last night. And, I mean, why would you stop rushing the ball when the defense couldn't stop it? We knew what was coming. We lined up in formations to stop it. We just could not stop it. Honestly, our linebacker play last night looked so bad. I was huge on Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch coming into the year. Jalen has my confidence in him has definitely declined a lot as the season's gone. And I know a lot of people aren't sure about his future in Dallas. And, it just makes me sad considering we just signed him to a big contract in the offseason. And at the time, everybody thought it was a great move. I didn't know one Cowboy fan who was saying it was a bad move considering the year him and Leighton had last year. I'm really hoping our defense is just a result of no OTAs and getting absolutely gashed every week. And maybe next year, we can have a solid top 10 defense again like we did last year because personnel pretty much stayed the same. I know we lost Byron Jones and a few other players. No, in my opinion, it wasn't anybody too big for our defense to completely explode the way it has this year. We have not looked good. I feel like Tank has been the only one showing complete effort throughout the game. If Tank's not on the field, then the ball's going his way and it's 30 yards his side for a touchdown. Tank is the one I see driving on every play, trying to get to the quarterback, trying to make run stops. So at this point, DeMarcus Lawrence, yeah, his sack numbers aren't there, but to me, a defensive end is a lot more than just sack numbers. He's definitely the best run stopper we got, the best outside containment we got for Lamar, because on this one play where it looks like Jalen has Lamar stopped in the backfield, the second he lets Lamar get the outside, he's gone. And Jalen, he doesn't have wheels enough to catch up to Lamar like that. Not at all. I was pretty impressed by our offense last night. Just because, we've been struggling to put the ball in the end zone, and we did do that twice. It was nice to see. Zeke had himself a hell of a game. Pollard had a hell of a return after Baltimore's wide open touchdown. But, honestly, I just feel like this season has come down to our defense just not being able to perform whatsoever. At the beginning of the year, it was our secondary was absolutely getting gashed downfield for huge plays. But, the more that happened, the more teams try to run the ball, and the more they ran the ball, the more they realized our rush defense is just as bad, if not worse, than our pass defense. So we ranked dead last in stopping the run, dead last in rush yards per game, rush attempts per game. Overall, this defense is just not who it was meant to be at the beginning of the year. And from here, as a Cowboy fan, I couldn't tell you, where they should go. I think at this point is best just to pack it up for the year and see if we could get top 5 draft pick going into next year. Because, even if we could win this division still, but I highly doubt it, down 2 games to behind New York and Washington, I don't see it happening. I don't see us winning another game for the rest of the year, honestly, with our defense just being as bad as it is. We can't stop anybody. It's pretty crazy to watch. It's not usual that I'm watching a team give up 8 yards per attempt on rush, but I think that's about what we're averaging. It did not look good last night specifically. And I'm sure if some of y'all watched the game last night, then you heard Troy Aikman. He was not a fan of this Cowboys defense last night. He had some harsh words for everybody on that defense, but especially safety Xavier Woods. With safety Donovan Wilson out last night, Xavier Woods did get to start, and he just did not look like an NFL caliber safety. You know, he was making very bad plays on the ball. There was a very obvious pass interference on him, but the ball was thrown way over the tight end's head. It wasn't even anywhere close. Shouldn't have even been catchable. Shouldn't have even thrown the flag, but it was so blatant pass interference before the ball even got there. He's sitting on the dude's back. That's something you got to call as a ref. So no fault there in it being called, because it was so obvious as day that he was all over him, man. It wasn't even, you couldn't even hide it. So Xavier Woods was really disappointing last night, but I can't just call out him because our whole defense last night just looked disappointing. I was very upset with Van Der Esch coming in. Like I said, coming into the year, Van Der Esch was my favorite middle linebacker. Yeah, he had some injuries that I thought were going to slow him down, obviously with the collarbone injury. I feel like they rushed him back, but he looked scared out there. He's not the same player he was last year or the same player he was in week one when he was making reads, going down in the gaps and blowing up plays. I don't see that from him no more. I see him hesitate. I see him making wrong reads. I don't see him laying that hit down as hard as he did anymore. It kind of just looks like he's playing a little timid out there. And I can understand with someone with his neck, if he's still hurting, then we just need to get him out of there and get in some fresh legs and see where we want to build going into next year. Because at this point, like I said, we could go ahead and just scratch this season. As a Cowboy fan, I'm not sure how you other Cowboy fans are feeling, but I assume probably the same way. So, yeah, that was last night's game. Not a whole lot of good to take from it. If we want to take anything good, I'll say Zeke still looks pretty good. Andy Dalton's been playing well, and our O-line did not look as disappointing as I thought they were going to be against that Baltimore D-line, only giving up, one sack last night. I could be wrong. I didn't really check up on that, but I do remember one specific sack last night for sure. So, if you want to take some positives away, I definitely go with those. And the last subject I kind of wanted to talk about on this first episode of the podcast, I just wanted to see where you other Cowboy fans want to go from here. For me, I'm all tank season. I want to just tank and get the best possible draft pick. I think we're sitting at the number 4 draft pick right now. If there's any way to move up a 3, 2, 1, I'd love to do that. But who would you take with that draft? I haven't been looking too far into next year's draft class. If there's anybody even worthwhile sticking at the number 4 spot, or if it'd be smarter to trade down and see if we could just get more picks, maybe a few second rounders, some more third rounders, a late first rounder, anything would help. I just feel like we are missing too many positions on the defensive side of the ball to focus on one name player like last year we're getting CeeDee Lamb. I don't hate on the CeeDee Lamb picks. I love CeeDee. He's a great receiver. He's going to be part of this organization for a long time making plays. I absolutely love the pick. But looking back at it, it feels like maybe we could have benefited a lot more going with the early safety or maybe even a cornerback. We got Trayvon Diggs in the second round, which is a steal. He's going to be another one of those rookies where I feel like next year coming into his sophomore year, he's going to have a great year, going to be a top cornerback. And I hope maybe we could go out and get him a safety, get the Cowboys a safety from Alabama, somebody he's familiar with to work in our scheme. I feel like that would definitely be able to help us out a lot. But it also just kind of makes you realize how foolish the Cowboys were, the front office was, these past few years when Earl Thomas became a free agent. Obviously, it was a few years back, and he was pretty much begging to come to Dallas. He went and found Garrett in the locker room. He was tweeting on social media he wants to be in Dallas. Same thing with Jamal Adams. They were pretty much kissing Jerry Jones on his feet, asking if they could come to Dallas, and we did not sign him. And Jamal Adams is playing for a contending team. And I don't know what Earl Thomas is doing, but I promise he's still better than anybody we have back in our secondary, and I would still gladly take him right now, this very day. I don't understand what we were thinking with that, especially with the Jamal Adams. He's young. He wanted to play. And even with our recent draft picks, that's what makes drafting hard. As we passed over T.J. Watt, we passed over a few other these huge name players are producing, but that's just something you never know. What if we would have drafted Tristan Hill and he came in to be a monster. But that's just the thing with drafting. So I wanted to see where other Cowboys minds were at. Feel free to follow me on Twitter I'm going to leave it in the bio. If I do make a bio, I'm not really sure how I'm going to put this podcast out yet. But today was the first episode of Finish the Fight. My name was Andrew. I'm going to be the host of this. I'm not sure how often I'm going to do them. Probably weekly for sure. We're talking about the Cowboy game. But like I said, this was week one. I really appreciate anybody who takes the time out of their day to listen to this. It means a lot to me. I hope, maybe one day I could get this going full time or something, just because I love sports. And if this is something I could do, I'd love to do it forever. And I'm really excited to the opportunities it's going to bring. And I hope I can meet so many other Cowboy fans out there, just because I live with a Baltimore fan and a Patriot fan. So I get crap all day, and I love Cowboy Nation. We're a different breed. We think we're going to win the Super Bowl every year, even when we don't. Coming into this year, I thought that was something we were going to do. But it was really nice. I hope y'all enjoyed this first episode, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.